Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for All About Android is provided by CacheFly at CacheFly.com.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by GoToWebinar, a trusted webinar platform with over 55,000 customers who have hosted over 2.7 million interactive web events to connect with their audiences. For more, visit gotowebinar.com/podcast. And by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Home plays a big role in your life, and that's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. It lets you apply simply and understand the entire mortgage process fully so you can be confident that you're getting the right mortgage for you. Get started at rocketmortgage.com/Android. Hello and welcome to another episode of All About Android. This is episode 348, recorded on Tuesday, December 19th, 2017. We are your weekly source for the latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
And I'm Florence Ion.
Nice. And Victor,
and you guys are so festive, and I feel like I missed it.
Look who else is festive.
Yeah.
Who else got the memo?
We have back none other than Gina Trapani, GinaTrapani.org, all-around awesome person. We are so stoked to have you back, Gina. How have you been?
Oh, so good. It's so good to be back with you all. I missed you all very much.
We missed you quite a bit.
Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. We're going to talk a lot about Android. We're going to talk about some of our favorite things and all this kind of stuff. But before we dive into that, it's been a while since you've been on the show. It's been a while, I think, since you've been on Twit in general. I know you've been really busy with work and everything. If you had to summarize the last year of your life, what would that be?
Wow.
Oh wow, that's a big assignment. Just kicking this off. I've been busy. I have some fun personal news, which is that I was promoted at my company. I'm a partner now at Postlight, which we're just kind of a small digital product studio here in New York City. But I run an engineering group there, and I've been building some fun stuff for our clients, and just like doing the thing, the commute, living it up here in New York. Parenting my kid. Just been busy. Missing you guys a lot, though. I'm really glad that got a chance to come back and say hi. Talk a little bit about Android. I got to warn you, I've been on a little bit of a news diet this year for various reasons that we don't have to say, out loud.
Same.
I'm a little bit out of loop, so I'm just going to ask you to
no one blames you for that. No one blames you at all.
Yeah. But I'm going to have to ask you to maybe explain a couple things to me. Haven't listening to Android news all year this episode.
Well, thankfully, this being basically the last live show of the year, we have an episode next week, but it's a best of episode. So it's not, news based, which part of today's show is. Really the news is pretty light, and it's it's pretty easy, approachable stuff. I'm curious to know your perspective on some of these themes that we're going to be talking about, like Project Tango and everything. Themes that started off one way and now are ending a completely different way. Someone in chat, actually, who was it? Cousin of Ja, threw out a question. I'm just going to see what you think about this, Gina. He says, I want to hear Gina Trapani's thoughts on Kotlin. Kotlin was a big deal at Google I/O this year.
Maybe we save that for later in the show.
Maybe we save that for the 2017 recap.
Because maybe that was someone's 2017 pick.
I didn't think about that. I didn't look.
Maybe,
you know what?
Earlier it was all empty down there. That's
just
the last time.
Push the button on the hat. Push the button on the hat. We'll just where I don't even
know.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Oh, that's festive.
What?
I like the teaser. I'm excited to talk about Kotlin later.
Okay, good.
Cool.
I'm sorry. Last time I looked at the doc, it was pretty much all empty. The problem
It's really
with this
loud.
The problem with this hat is once you start it, there's no stopping it. So I'm not going to do it.
Sorry, I made you do that.
Other than
I figured
right
you
now.
should do it once. Let's just do it in the beginning.
Holly Dolly Christmas this year. Oh, God, it keeps going.
Wow.
And you don't know until you're wearing the hat how forceful the flops are.
Whoops.
It actually pulls
They
you.
look pretty forceful.
All right, so it's a lot of
All
work.
right.
Gina, hey, I heard that you are participating in today's Oreo tasting.
Thank you for keeping us on track.
So excited.
Yes, we have some Oreos here. Ron, do you happen to have Oreos?
I had to burn that.
Did you just throw them away? Because
I threw out the whole thing. I threw out the whole thing, and then my wife asked me if I was proud of myself.
They were not good.
Okay.
So Gina, last week we had the mystery Oreos on. Or no, we found out the mystery Oreos. Ron finally ate the mystery Oreo. We found out they were Fruity Pebbles.
Oh,
And
how was that?
And they're not good. But somebody won $50,000 for guessing that they were Fruity Pebbles. So whoever got that, I hope you're not taxed a lot on those earnings.
That's,
you probably
that's just
will
how
be.
it goes. That's how it goes. Hey, you won free money eating a cookie. I think you did all right. So
True that.
we have, at least here in the studio, and I know, Gina, I think you even picked up a package. We have the limited edition hot cocoa Oreos, because that is a thing now. And
That's
I'm curious to
festive.
know that, Gina, you had mentioned that you have some cookies as well. What you got?
I just got the plain old regular.
You can't go wrong.
I went classic.
really
I just
can't.
went classic. I looked for the hot cocoa, and I saw all the red velvet and the birthday cake and the double stuff and and I just went with the classic.
I'm kind of
Cookies.
jealous.
Those are. I have a feeling those are going to be gone by tomorrow afternoon in your household, because I can't
No
have
doubt.
Oreos in my house without going through like all 3 sleeves.
Unless you have the mystery Oreos, in which
And then
case,
I'm not touching those.
even your dog or cat won't eat them. So, okay, well then this is the point in Sprockets when we dance, or in All About Android when we eat a cookie. So I'll go ahead and hand this to you, Flo. This is
Yes.
the hot cocoa, which we like to demonstrate it as if it were technology.
Show the dual layered,
It's
much like a
that.
dual layered case.
It's a two-toned,
This is
two-tone filling, edge-to-edge screen here, rounded bezel, as you can see here. And you can actually take it apart and replace the battery if you need to. So that's nice. Hot cocoa Oreo going in.
Wow.
smells really yummy.
Dipping.
Okay. We try not to eat in the microphone because people think it's gross.
Is this going to be the last Oreo? This is the last one of the year. Are we retiring this in 2018, or are we continuing?
That's a good question. Actually, that's a really good question. We should probably determine that. Goodbye, hot cocoa Oreos.
The
Those are all
ghost
right.
of Christmas past is taking the Oreos right now.
Oh, is that what that was? Oh, it was a mummy. Oh, Brendan Fraser. Got it.
I was trying to keep it festive.
What do you think?
These are bomb.com.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. And then the traditional flavor that you were tasting, Gina. I mean, you can't go wrong with the traditional Oreos.
Delicious.
I just want
dipped
to
it in
add
some
that
milk.
Gina dipped
Wow,
hers.
you went one step ahead.
She
you got
dipped
the
hers
milk.
in milk, and so by the end of the show, she's going to have delicious Oreo milk that we won't.
Yeah, it's true.
It's true.
We've
like cereal
promised.
milk.
We've promised to bring milk many times during our Oreo tastings.
I just bring my giant jug of water. That's all I got.
Yeah, water and Oreo. So if I had to rate that, I'd probably give it like an 8. It was pretty good. I wouldn't.
By the
Eight.
way, I regret my grade that I gave the strawberry cheesecake Oreo last week.
Did it go down?
It went down.
Yeah.
Yeah, it did. Because
wasn't good.
my mouth would not stop like smacking from
Yeah, that was the
Red
chemicals.
Yeah, that was the chemicals eating away at your esophagus, basically.
yeah.
You know, it's either that or pollution. So
All right. So I give it an 8. What do you give it?
I give the same.
Okay, an 8. And then the classic. What if you had
10.
a 10? I
Perfect
mean,
10.
How can
Perfect
you
10.
not with the classic Oreo?
Yeah, it's the baseline.
Excellent. Thank you for participating. We will decide whether we're going to continue doing this in the new year. I don't know if people are sick of it at this point. Ron, you might be sick of it because we're always the
No,
one eating.
it's always fun to watch.
The thing is, this is my dessert like every Tuesday. Like I eat and then I look forward to it. I go, oh, I'm going to get my Oreos today.
Yeah.
Like, now it's Oreo day in my life.
Yeah, I know. What are you going to do when it's
So,
gone? What are
you
you going
set
to
a
do when
precedent,
we're on Android?
And you're just going to take it from under me.
We'll figure that out. We got a lot to talk about this week. We'll be discussing the Loapi Trojan. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. We'll talk about that. The end of Tango. There's a software update for a jacket called, the Jacquard jacket. Essentials poor sales as far as we can tell. Our favorite Android things from 2017 and so much more. Victor, it's that time in the show where we dive into the news.
Hot stuff coming through. Here you go with Android news.
Nothing but the hottest stuff in Android news.
Victor going out strong, and in 2017 on a on a strong note. Good job.
Was that
Victor.
because of the hot cocoa?
No, it's the next story.
Oh, this different. Okay,
Look at that.
See,
And
that's the
and
thing
it's
about a strong news.
And it's a Simpsons reference.
Wow, those went fast.
No kidding. There's like not even a row
like
left.
a third left.
Wow, that's kind of depressing. Loapi. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. The topic of malware on Android, it comes and goes, as you know. We don't talk about all of the things that happen in that realm on the show because I feel like we kind of become a broken record on this topic. But usually it boils down to saying, be careful where you get your apps, stay vigilant on how you use your device. That's kind of the overarching kind of theme of how you avoid this sort of thing. Rarely does a malware, though, have an actual threat to the physical safety of a smartphone user. Apparently, that's where we're at with the Loapi Trojan. It's found to be hiding in fake antivirus and adult-themed apps, and guess what? Those apps aren't found on the Play Store, so you're probably talking piracy sites. You're probably talking, unlicensed, not very good app stores, whatever those may be. Once it's installed, it grants a mandatory administrator permission. It actually doesn't accept no. So you can keep hitting no all the livelong day and it won't allow for it. And eventually you just kind of give up, I guess, and you say yes and move on with your life because you want your device because you have to make a phone call. Anyways, and then a number of rotating things can happen once it's installed. There's relentless banner and video ads. That sounds like a fun time. There's signing the user up for paid subscriptions that confirm via a silent SMS confirmation in the background. Hijacking the device to use in denial of service attacks. And then this one, which is kind of what's getting all the headlines about this, crypto mining Monero tokens, which eventually is so processor intensive that in their studies, when they're studying this malware, they were able to get a battery to pop in 48 hours.
It literally kills your phone.
Yeah, it processes so many cycles in the act of crypto mining that within 48 hours their battery popped.
This sounds a lot like full circle where we've come from desktop computers, because if you remember back in the day, if you went someplace that you weren't supposed to be on the internet, you would maybe get infected with something like this, go to your desktop and pop-ups everywhere that take over the screen, and then you've got the blue screen of death because, your RAM is just overloaded from everything going on, from all the flash going on at once. So it just sounds like...
Does it ever explode, though? Did the computer ever explode because it couldn't handle just the massive amount of...
I don't know.
I never heard of a desktop overheating from doing the SETI at home screensaver.
That's because it's so much bigger. I mean, think about all that power that's concentrated into a small phone, and crypto mining. This stuff is using so much data anyway.
But also, we don't have lithium-ion batteries in desktops.
Oh yeah, also true. Yeah, also true.
So
my first clue here is that you can't say you can't have these permissions. The not accepting no would be my first clue that maybe. I mean, not that I'm blaming like a regular user, but that's a kind of a and that's a good relationship guideline, as well as an app guideline. If someone can't take no for an answer,
including you, Trojan virus. And I mean, I have a feeling like at that point it's already too late. At that point, you've already passed the point of no return. If you can't say no, you've already installed this thing in whatever shape or form it was intended to be installed, and now it's just like you're along for the ride. I guess I'm guessing the best that you could do at that point is not say yes, first of all, and somehow figure out how you can, reboot into some sort of recovery, wipe the device and start fresh, and hopefully that does it. But even then, like sometimes you just don't know how deep this stuff goes, right? Like something could potentially, quite possibly, get root access and be able to put something in there that could survive even a factory reset. We've heard of that happening as well.
It's very, very violating.
So...
I'm sort of surprised that Android allows an app to not take no for an answer around permissions, because the point at which an app is requesting permissions, it's doing it through Android rather than the app itself.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I now want to install this thing just to see how this works, but maybe I won't do that on the phone I care about.
Yeah, right.
But that's the thing. It's like, and Gina, that's a great point. And I wonder if it's because they figured out a way to circumvent whatever protections they have to do it, or is this a hole that no one exploited until now? And that's even more of a mystery. Like, how did no one find this yet?
Right. Or is it just
like
an endless loop of like asking for permissions? Like if the user said no, pop, request again. You know what I mean? Like I could see them just issuing an endless loop. That also just seems like something the system should be able to stop. Or maybe they're exploiting a
process,
hole.
Yeah.
Process run wild, like identify that or something. I mean, it's literally just go to 10, right? I mean, it's like,
exactly. That's good basic.
Yeah, that's all I know.
Now, I mean, the link that I'm reading this from is a Kaspersky link. So, of course, their suggestions, their recommendations are be vigilant on where you get your apps, where you install them. Make sure that your unknown sources toggle in your settings is not selected. Of course, the final suggestion is, and by the way, proven antivirus software for Android. Should we recommend the basic version of a Kaspersky Internet Security for Android? Is what the article says.
You can't blame them for that. No. I'm more fascinated. So like this is a major one. Stage fright was a major one, right? How many years have we been doing this? I mean, it feels like an eternity. But like, I'm more surprised given the malicious nature of script kiddies out there and like people who are doing stuff with, this kind of malware that we don't have more problems. Like I know this seems like a big deal, but like since it's been over a year since stage fright?
I mean, it's right. Got to be right around there. I can't remember exactly when stage fright was. Yeah, it would be about that.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to Flo's example of the early 2000s and Windows PCs. I mean, it was rampant. You couldn't avoid it. Mm-hmm. And now it's like every once in a while. So I think we're better off.
Yeah, it's true. And I mean, it always, again, we've already said it a couple of times, but it always goes back to where are you getting these things from? Google has protections in place. At Google I/O, they announced kind of a broader effort around this to identify bad apps on your device, that bad known identifiable apps and processes happening underneath on your device called Google Play Protect. So if you're getting your apps from the Google Play Store, they already have a gigantic archive, a gigantic catalog of things that they will recognize immediately. Obviously, there's always 0 days that come along that aren't recognizable yet, but I think your best bet is then to just stick to the Play Store, and more likely than not, you're going to be safe. You're going to be about as safe as you can be. And I think that the risk in talking about security stories as relates to Android is it's very easy for everyone to look at that and be like, see, Android's a very unsafe place to do anything. This is why I don't do Android, because this never happens on other platforms. And the reality is, like, they all have their weaknesses. You hear about this on Android probably more than you do on iOS, but you have to ask yourself where you're getting your apps and data from. If you're going to a piracy website to download your apps so that you get them for free, then you should probably not be that surprised if something bad is looped in there at some point.
Which is how all the pop-up ads happened for young Flo.
And further, you should pay your devs.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pay your devs.
And I think for some people that's a lesson learned the hard way.
Yes.
So there you go.
A lesson a young Flo learned the hard way.
It happens.
Flo, what was young Flo doing on the internet at this time, Flo?
Young Flo had no money, okay? On to the next topic. Changing the subject
Good idea.
here.
Good idea.
Who needs Project Tango when you've got AR Core, honestly, because Google realized that nobody needs Project Tango because that was a terrible transition.
Wow.
I'm going to start that over because I don't like the way that went. It was too negative. I don't like it. I'm starting over.
You got this. Go for it.
AR Core has officially eaten Project Tango's lunch, and Google is sending it to pasture as a result. Jason wrote that one.
I don't know if that makes it any better.
Jason wrote that one, by the way. So Google did announce that last week, if you were paying attention to the Android headlines, you may have heard that Google is retiring Project Tango support on March 1st of next year, 2018. We kind of knew that this would happen once AR Core was announced this last August, just because a week after the debut of the Zenfone AR Tango smartphone, it just seemed like, well, what's the point of having a proprietary phone that does this sort of thing, right?
You remember this? You remember this?
So it kind of makes a moot point out of some of the phones that were launched in support of this, but I don't think it's a total moot point because, these devices were going to schools to kind of like introduce kids to this idea of learning in this manner. These devices were prototypes for this AR. So it's all very iterative. You know, nothing is really being put to pasture. What's being put to pasture is a specific name to relate to a specific set of augmented reality experiences. And I feel like there's supposed to be sad music to this montage of AR.
No, there is. It's very low.
It's happening.
It's very delicate.
It's very slow too.
It's slow motion.
It's dramatic.
Slow.
We're saying goodbye to the Velociraptor.
Pixelated dinosaurs.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Tango as a technology is going away, but it's being superseded by software that does just as good a job. Maybe not as good a job. Although Google had said that Tango would continue to live in other purposes.
So probably education.
That the Tango hardware had other uses, but I didn't see that in this kind of follow-up. It was more like, Tango support's ending. Sorry. See you later. AR Core is kind of what we're in on.
Well, it was no like Tango to the Enterprise.
Yeah, right.
Does the Enterprise need Tango?
It has the holodeck.
Oh, I guess Lowe's and like Home Depot could use it, but then they can use AR Core. Also, I had finally some prolonged experience this weekend with the Pixels AR stickers.
Oh, yes. And what did you think?
FYI, and now that I've had the ability to use them, I have to say, holy crap, are they fun.
Yeah, they're pretty cool.
So, no need to cry for me, Argentina, says Project Tango, because the truth is that it really never is leaving you. It's not leaving you at all.
Good.
I
want to know what Gina thinks of AR.
I played around with these stickers, and this weekend after I went to go see Star Wars, and it made me incredibly happy. Incredibly happy.
Well, was it the augmented reality or was it the porgs?
Well, it was the porgs. Clearly. Okay. I think there's some really good use cases for AR, right? Isn't that their like IKEA app for like visualizing like furniture in your home?
Yeah.
And like things like this are just kind of fun and cool. I'm not upset about Tango. I think that it's a healthy thing to have technologies or products or whatever they are that haven't caught on or aren't doing particularly well, to phase them out and to bring in kind of the new thing. It sounds like that's what's going on here. I'm not totally clear on how AR Core is different than Tango, but I think it's good to just fail fast and iterate quickly.
It sounds like AR Kit. That's why it's AR Core now.
What's different? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Ron. Go.
Nothing for me.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Well, I know with Project Tango, at least, like, I don't know exactly how they're getting to the same effect with different approaches, but with Project Tango, they had like multiple cameras to detect different aspects for better, more, let's say, higher quality tracking, as far as the exact differences between what this hardware is doing versus what the software is doing with a single camera on the back. I'm not entirely sure, but obviously Google reached a point where they realized the benefits of being able to roll out ARKit to a number of devices without specialized hardware far outweigh the improved tracking that you get with dedicated hardware. Because let's face it, there weren't a lot of phones produced with Project Tango hardware. And
you can developers can use Unity and the Unreal Engine to develop with AR Core. Like, you don't have to just use Java. So it's opening it up to game developers. Like, if it's in Unity, it means that somebody just codes something and just exports it to like all these different platforms, and boom, really it's available. Yeah. And AR Core is a way sexier name than Project Tango. It goes right there with ARKit, and Google's whole thing, which I think we're probably going to talk about during our year look back, is just this whole year has been about lifestyle. And so the name AR Core, it's way more lifestyle-y than Project Tango. Project Tango is a developer term. Anything with project in it is like, woohoo, that's not for me. Consumer, whoa.
Yeah, and especially because it has AR in the name. And as a buzzword over the past year, AR has at least become a little more known. I don't know how known the term AR, what it even stands for, really is with the common, there's a random person out there, but it probably means a little bit more to have AR in the name than Project Tango, which means absolutely nothing to anybody.
Although Project Tango is the name of my new dance studio opening up in 2020.
That's why.
They've
They had the name before.
Why is it going to take you
Tango?
Why is it taking you 2 years to open?
Listen, I'm a journalist. You only make so much money, okay?
All right, weird.
It's a lot to open a dance studio.
You do what you got to do. We understand.
So in addition to 2017 being a bit of the year of AR buzz, I feel like 2017 has been a year of the Google Assistant and Amazon's product and stuff like that becoming really ubiquitous. And that's just going to continue now that Google is rolling out broader support for Google Assistant on phones running Android 5.0 Lollipop and on tablets that are running Android 6.0 Marshmallow and 7.0 Nougat. And these currently only use English language for now. And the interesting thing, though, is not baked into the launcher like it is on the Pixel phones, the other devices. It actually requires the user to launch the Assistant app to use it, similar to Amazon's implementation, like on the Moto speaker phone one that I showed a couple of weeks ago. And also an update is rolling out to enable Hey G on phones, similar to the Google Home. And your voice, and it's not Hey G, it's another hot word to trigger it.
Google.
Hey G. And the voice model must be retrained in the settings in the app. So you do need to reset that up if you haven't, or set it up in the first place. But it's big advancements for this is what we talked about. They announced when they announced Google Assistant, it was exclusive to the Pixel. We said, when are they going to start rolling it out? It just took 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, there have been Assistant on other
devices.
On other devices. This is just going back even further. So a lot of the older devices have it. It's not as integrated into the experience as it is on some of the newer devices.
There's no long press of the home button, for instance. You have to launch. You have to launch the app separately to make it work. But at least, it's there.
Something's better than nothing, I suppose.
It's true.
See, I want to ask how we feel about Assistant in 2017, but now I think I can't ask that.
Yeah, let's maybe go to our first video mail.
G is a nickname of mine. My family calls me G. This is going to be a problem. I hope no one actually changes it to Hey G, because there'll be some name collisions in my house.
Just so you know, Gina, Hey G is our code word on the show so that we don't fire off everyone's assistants.
Which is why
homes.
we can't say the A word either.
The
word.
The Amazon
word.
Amazon's A word.
Although technically, if we say the word computer for some people, sorry.
Yeah, but you know what? That's a choice they made. They selected to have their wake word be a really, really common word.
Mine is computer because
that's cool.
Well, no, because I kept taking meetings with people and then talking about like the Amazon stuff I'd write for the week, and every time I'd take the meeting, it was or doing podcasts. It was just there anyway.
Let's just say, Gina, you're probably okay that you don't do this show very much because it's really, really hard to not say these words on the show.
And I'm probably the worst at it. I'm sure there are people who curse my name all the time. So,
and people end up not liking you.
Willing to shoulder.
So who knows? Maybe you'll get the opportunity to say it out loud on this show at least once.
Yes, you too can get the opportunity to trigger everyone's smart speakers.
Emails.
What? Which word? What? Alexa?
No, no, we're not going there, Ron. Stop it.
I see what you did there.
Oh man. Okay, hey, we got a video mail. We haven't received one of these in a pretty long time. You can send us your video mails if you like. It's pretty easy. It's not magic. Email AAA@twit.tv with a link to your video, and it magically becomes a video mail, like Jim did. Jim has this question about picture-in-picture in Oreo.
Hello, all about Android. My name is Jim Baca, and I'm an Android developer from Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I've been working on a blog post about picture-in-picture in Oreo. Unfortunately, on my Pixel XL2, I've only seen Google Maps taking advantage of this feature. I've heard rumors that Netflix is taking advantage of it, but I haven't been able to verify this myself. My question for you is, what other apps are successfully using this feature? Thanks!
Well, you are welcome, I hope. I think we have answers for you.
I use Maps. Picture-in-picture.
Yeah.
If I'm walking, and I'm texting, hey, I'm almost there, but then I'm like walking, trying to figure out where I'm going. YouTube TV does picture-in-picture.
Yeah,
YouTube does picture-in-picture.
Mm-hmm. Netflix does have it, so he was asking about that, but he, saying like he hasn't noticed it himself. The reason is probably because and by the way, this all comes from an Android Central article written by Jerry Hildebrand, friend of the show. You need 8.1 in order for Netflix picture-in-picture to work. So if you're on the absolute most recent version of Oreo, then that'll work for you. But they also list Telegram, Pocket Cast, Duo, of course, Google's video chat app, WhatsApp if you're in a video chat and you want your chat to be there as well, or your messaging, Chrome, Facebook, VLC. That's a nice, growing, healthy list of apps that support picture-in-picture.
Sometimes the PIP, as it is referred to, will happen at a very inopportune moment, like when I'm driving and I'm trying to get into car mode.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have like a car mode trigger that I put on my home screen, and it's Android Auto is still a tiny bit finicky when it's like transitioning between one app to the other. So sometimes the map will just go picture in picture and not realize that I'm trying to ask it to do something else. So
you're like, oh, wait,
it goes a little crazy sometimes, but you could always.
Admittedly, I've never looked to see if you can turn it off, but I will say every time I use YouTube, and then I go to another app and it goes to that small window, and I swipe it away. I've never used it. I've never used it.
That's happening to me too a lot.
I definitely have.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first time it happened, the first time I saw Pip activate, I was like, whoa, what is that? Like, it was definitely this like amazing moment because I hadn't been keeping up that was going to happen. But yes, the YouTube experience I definitely have, but navigation, it happened. And I was like, that's perfect. I'm texting my friend or looking something up. Like, I love that. But yeah, YouTube would be like, no, I'm done with this video. Swipe away. So it's been both. But the first time it happened, it felt like this magical moment of like, oh, my phone does so much more now.
Yeah.
This magic moment.
Thanks to the beauty of software.
I kind of wondered how much of a utility it was actually going to be on a smaller phone screen, because it makes more sense to me on a bigger screen to have a picture-in-picture because I can move it well out of the way of anything I actually need, like a list of something in a notepad, and then I've got a video player obscuring part of it, and I have to swipe in order to see around it. That didn't seem like a very useful feature. Like, it's neat that you can do that, but I just don't know how often I would need to. But I find myself, I guess I find myself using it more than I expected that I would. If I play a video or whatever, and then I go to do something else, I'm cool with it being down there. I guess I just don't know how much I actually really need it to be showing. Because,
how much of Android's things do we actually really need?
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Good point.
But it still makes us go, ooh, when it happens.
Yes. Things that make you go, ooh. Ooh. All right. Hey, we have to thank the sponsor of this episode. We're happy to do that. Thank GoToWebinar, the sponsor of this episode of All About Android. GoToWebinar is the webinar platform that's hosted 2.7 million interactive web events, over 60 million views per year. It's a lot of views. GoToWebinar believes webinars are one of the best ways to interact with your prospects and your customers instead of, just a simple business presentation or going to company websites. With GoToWebinar, you can create custom email invitations, confirmations, reminders, or you can even let GoToWebinar handle it with their own automated email templates. You can display your own company logo, your custom image on all of your webinar materials to brand it up the way you need. You can create and schedule pre-recorded webinars, and this is really cool. You can do it in a way that make them as interactive as even the live events, so people on the other end might not even know. Mobile friendly, of course. You can schedule a webinar, edit a session, or track performance from your iOS or your Android device. You can also create up to 20 polls before the session or even on the fly, if you can, for audience interaction. You can add up to 20 questions to a survey and then engage participants with Q&A throughout. You can also engage your audience with more than one presenter and panelist. Up to 6 presenters, in fact, can share their webcams and participate face-to-face. And you can broadcast a view of your desktop or even a specific application if you want to show something off inside of an app. And with GoToWebinar's reporting and analytics, you're just a click away from qualified leads, metrics, and data to improve your webinars. You'll have end-to-end 128-bit AES encryption as well. And by the way, it's rated #1 in customer satisfaction. Turn your next presentation into a conversation with GoToWebinar. For more information, visit GoToWebinar.com/podcast. That's GoToWebinar.com/podcast. And we thank GoToWebinar for their support of All About Android. So we don't need the hardware bumper because I think this is just more news. Although now that I'm looking at it, maybe it's kind of hardware-y, but whatever. Let's not do it. Let's fly by the seat of our pants, Flo.
Okay. All right. We're flying by the seat
next?
of our pants to talk about the fact that, well, a couple months ago, Google had announced that it was going to buy a piece of HTC's smartphone division for $1.1 billion, and it turns out that Taiwan's investment commission just approved that acquisition deal.
It's going to happen?
So that's happening overseas, and it's expected to close the first half of next year. HTC is expected to use some of that money to further the development in its VR business, and I guess that leaves us to wonder if any of that VR business is going to spill over into Google's world.
It's a Daydream or maybe their standalone thing. I mean, I think they.
Where is the standalone thing?
I don't.
By the way,
Yeah,
weren't we
it's
supposed to have it by now?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, when all this happened, like a day later, HTC announced that they're not doing the Google standalone anymore.
Oh yeah, that's
they're doing
right.
their own. Which leaves, I believe, Lenovo. Is it Lenovo that's the remaining partner with Google? I don't know. I'm curious to see this standalone VR thing whenever or if ever it sees the light of day.
I'm curious to see if this is going to help HTC's bottom line.
or Google's. I mean, Google
Google's, that's true.
Has a growing hardware, fascination and business.
A growing hardware fascination. That's a way to put it.
Well, they want their hardware business to succeed, and they've had some challenges, to say the least, this year. Did you get
I feel like it's been years that we've been talking about Google just like beefing up its hardware business and like having like, the phones that they put out. Of course, they're putting out great phones. We can talk about the Pixel later, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it's just funny to come back onto the show after having not been on it for a year and these kind of stories still kind of out there about Google trying to, figure out and, the partnerships and the, figuring out the hardware piece, which I feel like Apple, has obviously taken a totally different approach to and has maybe been more successful at.
Right.
Some things never change.
Yeah. And
True.
This time around, it was, the rumor leading up to this acquisition was that Google was going to possibly acquire all of HTC's smartphone division. That, of course, didn't happen. Although, $1.1 billion basically gave them access to 2,000 of HTC's employees to kind of be brought into the Google fold to help them with their hardware efforts. And I'm just really curious to know what that materializes to. That's a lot of people, one, and that's a lot of cost to be devoted to all of those people. So how does that materialize to improve what Google has going on?
That is a lot of people. And all those people need managers. So they all need to be put into particular groups at Google. And Google is a giant corporation. So they have all these hierarchies that they have to integrate into. And then you have these development teams that you have to integrate into. Like, how quickly and efficiently can that actually happen?
Right.
Because people aren't just numbers. Like, you can't just go, welcome to your new home, everyone. Get to work.
Now,
like,
do that thing you were doing at HTC.
But wait a minute. Isn't that how China, isn't that Foxconn, isn't that how they work? Isn't that their whole business model? That people are numbers and, right?
Yes, but that's China. This is America.
Well, no,
but
but
these are
HTC,
hardware engineers versus factory workers.
Yeah, HTC's acquisition was approved by Taiwan's investment commission. You're right. I mean, that's a great point, Flo. And that kind of integration takes, could be up to, I don't even know. I have no basis of knowledge. Years for it to happen. But I got to imagine that there's levels of hierarchy and management within the 2,000 that are working with them. But how do you allocate them and do that? I think it's a bit of a hybrid of both, and that you got to mix the cultures and then get everyone working on what they need to do. And Google has to lay out a strategy for moving forward. How does this asset of resources help them move the Pixel or whatever's next forward?
Mm-hmm.
Man, this is what a terrible time to go on vacation for some people.
Why?
Because there's all this stuff you have to think about in the new year. I'm just never mind.
Like what?
I'm just thinking out loud about all the work that people have to do to try and like integrate these new employees into Google. I mean, come on. Like some people might have to move.
Really concerned about them having managers. Like I'm impressed with your concern about their personnel development.
I think I'm getting too personal about this. Let's move on.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you who's also getting personal. 2017 marked the arrival of Essential, Andy Rubin's new company, and sometimes you can use some public statistics to figure out things. Well, some smart people realized that if you looked at the Google Play Store, you could see how many times the Essential Camera app has been downloaded, which is a direct correlation that the only people who would be downloading the Essential Camera app would be people with Essential phones. So therefore, the 50,000 downloads for the Essential Camera app posits that Essential's only sold 50,000 phones.
Who knows?
Now
What's up? Everything.
So I know that it might be easy to look at, like, I feel like a new company with all eyes on Andy Rubin, they want to say, oh, they only sold just 50,000 phones, but I think it's interesting that there was a report in September that they had sold just around 5,000 at the point of September, and then we saw in October those price drops hit. And it dropped from the ludicrous $700 price tag to $500 to even in like Amazon Black Friday sales, I saw it as low as $350, right? And that appears to have started to move units. I don't think it's fair to judge a new company like this with their first product by the number of sales, but I could see a lot of people wanting to dance on a grave of like saying, oh, you're not successful, because we love Schadenfreude.
Yeah. And I mean, I think even from the get-go, Andy Rubin and kind of the Essential message from the beginning was that they didn't expect that this phone was going to rival that of like Note 8 or whatever. They knew that it was going to take a little bit of time, and that this first go was going to probably be a lot slower, and they were going to have to ramp up, and they've got the funding to do that. So yeah,
I was just gonna say, here's the deal: they've raised $300 million.
Yeah.
They need to sell phones. They don't care how many phones they sell in year one.
Yeah.
Right?
It's true.
So.
That's absolutely true.
I don't care how many phones I sell year one.
The Flow phone.
How much have you?
Yeah,
how much have you raised? Are they launching in 2020?
$15.
Have you had a chance to see the Essential phone in the wild? Probably not. Or in person from anyone by chance, Gina?
I have not. I read about it. It looks cool. This is a little bit sad. Andy's had a little bit of a tough year here with this and other things. But I think that Ron's point is very good. Like they weren't worried about selling a whole lot of phones for the first one out. Although it'd be nicer to see stronger numbers than this, right? And this phone was beset by some like delays, some shipping delays as well.
Yeah, they had certification delays.
Customer service follies.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's reasonable to expect a little bit better from someone like Andy Rubin, but let's see what the next thing that they do is.
Yeah, we haven't even seen their phone or their
smart speaker,
smart home thing.
Smart home thing.
Smart home thing. It probably has a name. I can't remember what it is, but that was teased early this year too, and we haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, see, I would love to see that. I was talking to somebody, I forget who it was, but somebody with an Essential phone was saying that the updates to the camera software have vastly improved it from the launch, and that it appears that a lot of the problems work out the kinks in the software, not necessarily the hardware.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
But that said, Ocean Depths still not on sale.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's the reason it's not selling more than 50,000 units.
Yeah, I agreed. Yeah, they would have had 50,001. I wanted that color badly. So,
I mean,
that and not
honestly, because a plain black phone is like, oh, okay, cool, another phone that's black, great.
But it's another phone that's black that looks like the Essential phone, which in and of itself is different looking from the competition, I would say. But yeah,
the Essential phone is different looking.
Yeah, it has its style, its own.
It has a look.
Okay.
You don't think
that's your opinion? We're all entitled to our own opinions on this show.
I thought that was one of the kind of unique features about the Essential phone. The design was very specific.
Rectangle.
And the build.
They're all rectangles, but the build quality, the ceramic and the titanium. I mean, it just has.
It doesn't have any like curves. It's very just like a block.
Yes, but there's
See,
lots
it's just
of
a
curvy.
block.
There's lots of curvy phones.
Anyway, it's not exactly, I don't.
The notch of shame.
Like,
it
I don't
also
see
has.
this. Yeah, but look how many people are going gaga over the notch.
Yeah.
Look how many people have. You know why? Because it's got an X in the name. That's what you need to do with Central Phone. You need to put an X in the name next time.
That's it.
Then you'll sell a bunch
10.
more.
That's a 10.
Yep.
No, it's an X.
Okay. No, I agree. It's an
Some
X.
people call it an X. Some people call it a 10.
And in this news, did you ever know that your jacket could receive an update?
In the future, it will.
In the future, it will. And the future is now. Levi's Project Jacquard commuter jacket. If you remember, I think we had Mr. Mobile on the show a few months back wearing it. It was very stylish and showed it off. That jacket's getting a software update. Changes include an illuminate functionality that has 3 modes. This is for the little tag on the sleeve. It can be in shine mode, where the jacket sleeve lights up like a flashlight.
Oh, helpful.
It can be in blink mode, where the tag will blink, kind of like an old HTML page. But in this case, it's for letting drivers know at night that you are there.
So like a bike light.
Yeah. And then
Andy?
strobe, which is a multicolored party light, because... Yeah.
Because critical mass is at the end of every month. So when you're
well,
going
there
through,
you
you
go.
got to have your strobe light.
There you go. Also has find your phone capabilities to ring your phone for 30 seconds, even if you had left it on silent. And not only does the jacket get an update, which is something we're not used to, the jacket also has a change log. So this is just something
I want
we gotta
this
get used to.
jacket. I want this technology into more fashion.
I agree.
Yeah?
Yes.
You don't want it
Totally.
enough
Sign
to
me
pay the exorbitant
I don't like this
cost for it.
jacket. No. I don't like this jacket. I would never wear it. Like, I would pay $300 for something that looked phenomenal on me, that
And
I
did
felt
this.
supremely confident in, that also was connected. Like, I would drop that money as a common consumer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not sold on this. This is not something I'd wear every day.
What about you, Gina? Is this an idea you can get behind, both in intention and with the money in your wallet?
Certainly not with the money in my wallet, unfortunately. I don't know. When I first heard about this, I kind of poo-pooed it. Like, I don't want my clothing to get software updates. I don't have to worry about, unbuttoning the thing before I wash it.
Yeah.
But, looking at this, like, it's a jean jacket. That's that's a thing that a lot of people wear. I am typically grabbing my phone and my jacket at the same time when I'm leaving the house. So I do kind of like the find my phone situation there. But it's not quite there for me yet.
Yeah.
And the sleeve wiping, I don't know. It doesn't really do it for me. I'll be honest.
I would agree.
I'll keep
Fair.
an open mind though.
And the Play Store is outing the Jacquard jacket as well, because the Jacquard app in the Play Store shows 100 to 500 installs. So,
Well, okay.
okay.
We knew that, but I thought we knew there was only like a limited number.
I don't know.
How many
I
of
don't
those
know.
can you really
I don't know
sell?
what I know, Flo. I don't know what I know
I don't
or
know
what
what
I
know
do
either,
anymore.
to be honest with you.
It's the end of the year. I knew a lot of things that I don't know now. Oh, what a year. Anyways, hey, Flo. We got a message, not an email.
Not an email.
A scribbled message.
A scribbled message. So my darling mother, who gave birth to me and put me on this earth, I am her tech help, as I'm sure a lot of you out there are your parents' tech help. And she got a Galaxy Note 8 against my suggestions. I had suggested she get a smaller phone, but she's liking it so far, and she's liking it so much that, Victor, if you wouldn't mind quickly showing, because I'm not going to read the whole message because it's just long and rambly. But my mother wrote out this long. If you just want to scroll real quick, just scroll to the bottom.
This is adorable.
She just wrote out a long message with her S Pen on the Note 8.
This is how you Note 8 right here.
This is how you Note 8. By the way, she did this at 6 in the morning, because that's when I got this, at 6 in the morning.
That's awesome.
And I just want to point out, let's see if we can go to the last page, Victor, that she says. Let's see.
This is amazing.
She said, anyway, she told me to tell the boys about it. The boys being Jason and Ron. So I'm just going to read very quickly the email.
If you don't mind, please tell the boys my issues.
If you don't mind, please tell the boys my issues.
We are listening.
So my mother's issue is, dear daughter, I could not help myself not to send you this email to sort of pressure you further about the new phone issue and hardship, so to call it, because I think of it constantly and I am disappointed that someone has not thought of it earlier. It is sort of a fixation, frustration, and all the same time, I am overwhelmed of how fast things are changing. And we, the population at large, sort of try to keep up with the speed to no avail. Developers don't think of us, the commoners. Love, Mom. So she's really frustrated because she was migrating from a GS6 Edge that she had, and she uses Samsung Smart Switch, and not a lot of her data transferred over. So a lot of her apps, the data didn't transfer over. And so I explained to her mom that the backup that Google has on Android has to be enabled by the developer side for those third-party apps. And so this is when she started to get very just like, well, that's not consumer friendly. Like, Google needs to make sure these people are putting in their apps because look how hard it is for me. And so she's been very like finding all these new apps that she needs to use, like a note-taking app, because she wasn't using Google Keep, which I got her on. But it made me think about my mom. And well, my mom is usually the person who comes to me about Android stuff. She carries the Android flag because it's the flag that I carry. And so I feel, she's like, no. Your father got the iPhone 10. I'm not getting that. She's like, I want the Samsung. So, I need to help her with this because she's essentially carrying the torch for our people. But it's hard to explain, like, Mom, there's not really, a good backup solution on Android. And that's when you kind of go like, Dad's iPhone has a way, like he's just gonna click a button on iTunes and it's just gonna, or I guess through iCloud, because that's how long I haven't been on iOS, and it's just gonna be like that. All of his text messages and his apps and everything is just gonna be like that. And on Google, on an Android device, you're lucky if most of your apps carry over with their logins. I haven't had as much problem because I have migrated to a lot of progressive web apps and a lot of web apps in general, because I am trying to spend less time on social media and less time doing things that don't serve me.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And also, I don't want to use so much space for apps that I'm only using like once or twice a year.
Sure.
So I'm just kind of using web apps. And because of that, I haven't worried so much about migrating. But my mom, she still relies a lot on apps. And
I think Cousin of Jean Chat has a very good solution that your mom needs to read up on how to root her device.
My cousin tried to tell her this.
And then install Titanium Backup. No, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. Don't do that.
I don't even like to do that. I just suffer along with everybody because I just don't want to do that. I think that's absurd.
I mean, it's a really great example of how the two platforms are totally and completely different, right? Like iOS, there's not a lot of obscurity or difference between how it's done because it's literally Apple that makes that call, and Android, there's a lot of choice. So there's a lot of different sides of that equation. Google has its solution that only works with its phones, with Pixel devices. And might I add, it doesn't always work 100% smoothly every single time.
Now you can only
sometimes
back
it
up.
Works great, sometimes it doesn't, and you're like, why does this not work? It's Google. Samsung has its own intentions and its own apps that do this sort of thing. It's very confusing to the consumer.
That was the other thing. She had a bunch of apps on there from Samsung that they no longer support, they no longer make. And I'm like, Mom, Samsung has changed so much in the last 2 years since.
How would she know that?
And exactly, how would she know? I mean, she
yeah.
I mean, she does watch All About Android, but kind of loses. It drops off after the intro because what are we talking about?
Yeah, sure.
But we're also not totally talking about all the Samsung apps because.
I mean, that's a challenge. I don't know what the answer is on that.
I just wanted to bring it as an example of what we still need to be concerned with in 2018 going forward with Android, is that we're about to talk about all these things that made us really excited this year about Google, but there's still some little things that are slipping through the cracks.
Absolutely.
That really could help it make it more consumer friendly so people feel not so scared about coming over to Android.
Yeah.
So.
What do you guys think? Do you have any opinions on this? I mean, I feel like there's, it's weird to me that it's the contrast of the fact that Android is one of the most popular, if not the most popular, mobile operating systems in the world. So many people.
Inopportune
Sorry,
mouse.
I got really excited. I jingled.
Jingled.
It's so popular in the world, yet there's so many things that are really just complicated and convoluted about it. Like, that's an ongoing, constant challenge. That's probably a theme that's very similar now as it was when you were doing the show regularly, Gina.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, first of all, Flo, your mom's point about developer empathy for commoners is just, I mean, so well taken, and a point that I think needs to be made, just over and over again. And it's funny because, we've been doing this for years, and I've had Android since like the G1. And my first reaction was like, oh, but it's gotten so much better. Like the last time when I moved over to my Pixel, it was a very easy transfer. But I also realized that I stick to Google phones, and I almost always think, because I switch between devices, my computer, my tablet, and my phone, I'm always front of mind thinking like, where's this data coming from? Am I syncing up to Dropbox or to Google Drive, or like this is like all my apps are basically cloud backed. And I just think about it that way because we do this job, right? But your mom's not thinking that. Right. She's probably mostly only on her phone and is installing apps that store stuff locally, and that stuff isn't getting transferred over. And that's normal and expected and human and regular person behavior. So I don't have a good answer, but yeah, this is one of those things. I feel like it's gotten so much better since we started, but still these things could be a lot easier for a normal person buying a non-Google phone.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, Gina put it very eloquently, said exactly what I would say, how far we've come if you think about the original versions and stuff like that. But even, like smartphones are complicated. Like I'm constantly answering questions from friends and family who have iPhones, and like, how can I do this? Like the iPhone isn't magically better or easier for many things. Mm-hmm. In fact, Apple's done a lot to make it harder for some things. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like ultimately these are computers, and you think about like setting your parents up on a desktop. Now it's just as complicated. Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah. Bleak in the chat room suggested, always start fresh with a new device. Always start fresh, and that's something that I do a lot of times because we work with a lot of phones, and if it's going to be my like permanent device, not a review device. If it's a review device, I'm going to do everything that I can to make it easier for me. But if it's like my device, I will always start fresh. But that's just such a mountain to climb. If it's something that you're not used to doing, setting up all those accounts, did you install everything, going to each of the Play Store pages
what are my passwords?
Installing what are my passwords? Maybe you forget to, sign into an email account of some sort that you only use rarely, and then you realize a couple of months later, oh my goodness, I never signed into that, and you check it, and there was something really important. Like, there's a number of ways that you can really trip yourself up. So while that produces really great results to do that, it's also very challenging to be, confident that you're not missing something along the way.
Yeah. Well, thanks, boys and Gina, for taking my mom's email.
And thanks, Flo's mom.
She said she didn't know the email, so she sent it to me.
So you too can email. You can send us a video mail, a voicemail. You can also send us your Note 8 scribbles at AAA@twit.tv, and we'll bring them onto the show. Just like that. I love it. This is a new format.
But I'm jealous, by the way, that she was able to get full cursive without, like, I cannot do the S Pen. It's just
looks great. That's the way to note. All right, let's take a break and thank the sponsor, and then we'll talk to you a little bit about our favorite Android things for 2017. But first, this episode of All About Android is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. I'm sure if you've been through the mortgage process, you already know it's not that easy. The whole process is littered with all these things that can make you stumble. The process was not keeping up with the times. It was dated. It needed a client-focused technological revolution, and that's why Quicken Loans created Rocket Mortgage. Rocket Mortgage gives you the confidence that you need when it comes to buying a house or even refinancing your existing home loan. It's simple. It allows you to fully understand all of the details and be totally confident that you're getting the right mortgage for you. It's also convenient. Their trusted partners allow you to share your financial information with Rocket Mortgage at the touch of a button. It's powerful. Whether you're looking to buy your first home or your 10th, Rocket Mortgage is able to perform thousands of calculations in seconds. Based on your income, your assets, your credit, Rocket Mortgage can analyze all of the home loan options for which you qualify and find the one that's just right for you. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Android. That's rocketmortgage.com/Android. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support of All About Android. All right. Our 3-ish favorite Android things from 2017. We all put together a little list of the things that we have enjoyed, have liked from throughout the year. How do we want to do this? Do we want to do like a round robin, or do we just want to go person by person? What do you guys think?
Let's start with Gina.
Oh, can't hear you. Can't hear you, Ron. I think you muted yourself.
No, I'm not muted, but...
Oh, okay. Hey, I can hear you now.
Let's go round robin. Let's go one at a time, and then we'll just go through that way. That's fine.
Yeah. Okay, we'll start with you, Gina. I'm very curious. What are you loving about Android this year?
This is like the really easy, basic, simple Android fan answer, but I don't know. I'm pretty happy with Oreo. I think Oreo was a really great release. I'm digging it. I like the notifications control. I like picture-in-picture, as we talked about. I don't love everything. I think Google Now got a little bit weird. I actually turned it off. But I'm digging like the look and feel, and I feel like Android's like in a really good place right now. So my first pick is the obvious one, which is just Oreo.
I would agree. I love Oreo. One question I have about Oreo is on some of their feature set, like the notification channels, for example. Anyone like really putting that through the paces, or is it just like whatever default is as far as that's
What's
concerned?
A notification channel?
Exactly.
I haven't used channels, but I definitely have been like, I never want to see this notification again, and like swiped over and like set, configured notifications on the system level from the shade, which I really liked.
That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Cool. So Oreo feature set. Great pick. Ron, you're up next. What you got?
Yeah, my first one, the first one that came to mind has been one that I probably said or should have said for the past couple of years, but we're continuing to have more hardware options. There are more players that are either emerging on the scene, like Essential, Razer, who bought Nextbit, or things like that, kind of new players that are releasing devices. And then we've seen the other upstarts like OnePlus, sticking around and making great phones, and then on top of it, you got the Google Pixel 2, and which I'm sure we're gonna hear more about specifically. But just the fact that when we all four of us have looked at and talked about and used Android, a lot of Android phones, and I feel like we're at a point now where like these phones are great. They're consistently good, and there are options. I would like to see more mid-range or low-price options, but even after this year, I've gotten to play. I started the year with the Nextbit. I got to play with the Motorola. I'm on the Google Pixel 1 now. I played with so many other phones, and played with the Essential, played with other stuff, and they're great. The phones are solid now, and I think that's a great place to build to help Flo's mom. To build from, to then now work on the software and work on the accessibility stuff. So it's just, you got awesome options if you want an Android phone.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. Never been better in that regard. Flo, what's your first pick?
So I put this as number 3, but I'm going to start with it. It's the whole lifestyle lineup that Google has sort of introduced, or not introduced, but really doubled down on this year. Mm-hmm. So everything from packaging to product lineup to apps to app design has been just this perfectly integrated, like woven ecosystem that has me really feeling like, holy crap, I'm officially part of an ecosystem. Like for a long time, it was like, I'm an Android user. So all my life is just all these things that work together.
Yeah.
Randomness. But now it's like, I'm a Google user. So I have, I did a lot of my holiday shopping through the Google store this year, for instance. And not just because of hardware, Google Photo Books. My entire life is now in Google Photos. So I can just print out photo books for anybody I want, anytime.
That's nice, yeah.
I can just share photos with everybody in my life because everybody in my life has a Google account. Everybody got one.
Did they have any sales, like holiday sales on photo books and stuff?
They had free shipping. They had a lot of, you missed it though because it's past the...
Well, yeah, no, I
to get in time for Christmas. But just the idea that there's this whole lifestyle now that you can ascribe to, with Google, and everything matches. Mm-hmm. Everything matches.
Everything is wearing cloth, cloth mesh.
Some things. I have the live photo case on right now, and this one's nice because it's like one of the many that they offer. But even just looking at like the fact that they have these cases that have been designed for this phone with all these like artists. I don't know. It's just, I see what you're doing, Google. I see it.
Flo sees what you're doing, Google. Flo got you.
I see you.
My first pick would probably be, I think it's kind of a toss-up between the obvious, which is the Pixel 2, which I've really loved. Once I kind of allowed myself to get over the hype cycle that I was totally a part of with the display stuff and everything like that, I just realized it's a fantastic phone, and Google did a lot of good here. Also, the Note 8, I think Samsung, really did great things this year with their hardware, especially coming off of last year where the Note 7 was such an insane debacle there at the end. They really kind of showed that it didn't matter. You know what I mean? And as far as premium smartphones go, neither of these is very inexpensive. They're both really expensive phones, but they're both really great examples of what you were talking about, Ron, of just excellent hardware options on Android, and I highly recommend both of these devices. I think they're both excellent for what they are.
And speaking of that, I will gladly mea culpa and say that I got it completely wrong that Samsung would be vilified on their future phone releases, and that after the Note debacle, the Note was dead. Like, remember, I was very vitriolic about that, and I was wrong. They put out a good device, and people don't care. As long as it works, it doesn't blow up, people will buy it.
How could we have known that it would have ended so well for Samsung? Because when I look back in time at that, it really seemed like that was about as bad as it possibly get. Sorry, see, I jingled again. That was... Dang it. Dang it. What does this mean?
Did you see the commercials they did, or rather the interviews that they did with like former Note owners?
Maybe.
I think they showed it at the keynote, but
oh, that's right.
Yeah,
yes,
and they were did. Like, see, people missed us so much, and that's like exactly what happened.
Yeah.
People really were like, it doesn't blow up, I'm gonna get it.
Samsung, I really thought that it was going to have a material effect on Samsung's business, and it absolutely did not. So I will make culpa right there with you, Ron. All right, Gina, you are up. What's your second?
This is a little bit of a left field pick, but it was close to my heart, which was the Google pop-up store in Manhattan on like 16th and 5th Avenue. Was like 2 blocks away from my office, so I walk by it every single day. This doesn't sound like that big a deal, but going back to what Flo was saying about this sort of lifestyle, you just don't get to see Google like in a physical space very much. But the store, like they had done this whole Stranger Things. They like recreated the Stranger Things living room, and they had that Stranger Things experience with the thing, I don't know if it was AR or VR with Daydream, but you could go and like try out different devices. And every time I walk by, I thought to myself, I should really write Jason back and book a date for All About Android. So here I am.
So Google needs to put pop-up shops all over New York City.
Exactly.
I want to see that Stranger Things thing.
What's so weird about the pop-up shop and stuff like that? Like they had one, Gina. They also had one down in Soho, right? Like I remember there was one selling the Pixel phones. Yeah. And like I was in Kansas City a couple of years ago, and there was a physical Google Fiber storefront. Like so they have divisions that can do like they like to play with the store. Like they don't want to commit to the store the way Apple and Microsoft have, but they just want to show up and see what works, see what doesn't. And then they did the same thing in London, right? Didn't they do like a pop-up shop in London? And then
this goes away on the 31st.
I would love to see, and they did the pop up in San Francisco and Hayes Valley
with
too.
Donuts.
With the donuts for Google Home Mini. I would like to see them commit to a storefront in the future. I mean, we're talking predictions, but and that's not for next year. I mean, just in general, like clearly they're playing with stuff and figuring out how to have fun doing it. I think Google would make some. Maybe they need more product, but they would make a great retail experience. I think. So.
Yeah, they probably. Yeah, I mean,
the morning that it opened, I was walking to work and I was like, "What's going on here?" And it was just a line around the corner, and I was like, "Oh, this just isn't an experience that you associate with Google, right?" Yeah. Like it's and it was neat to see, and I agree. I'd like to see it more. This shop is just going to disappear, poof, on December 31st, and then it'll pop up somewhere else, I guess. But it was neat to see.
Nice. Yeah, very cool. I want to see that too. Ron, what's your second pick?
Yeah, so we teased it and alluded to it earlier in the show.
My apologies.
But it's a good thing, and I'd love to hear Gina's thoughts on it now. That's the appropriate time. But Kotlin, it was the programming language of Kotlin. Android support for Kotlin was announced at Google I/O. It's taken a few months, but now we're with Android 8.1, a lot of those tools and the support for Kotlin are embedded in Android, and now we can start seeing the results of this. From everything, I'm not a programmer. I've said on the show many times, and to you guys personally, I have deep respect for people who program because they can do something that I can't, that I tried and failed. And I feel like Kotlin is gonna be a moment in time where we see the development kind of level up, at least on Android. That's my instinct, But Gina, I'd love to know what you think of Kotlin and the emergence of Kotlin on the Android scene.
Yeah, I think it's a great thing. I haven't played with it myself, but I know that there's I know lots of engineers who have a bias against Java for a variety of reasons, and I think that having another option in terms of building on Android is only a good thing, and I think it's great for the community, and I think that it'll stoke interest in building for this platform a little bit more, and that'll only benefit users, which is like the whole reason why programmers exist. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see if it takes hold and people like it and move over to it, and what the future looks like, how quickly it will permeate kind of the market.
Nice. All right, Flo, what's your second?
Motion photos are the best thing to happen to me.
Millennial.
You know what? You can say that. But I was with a bunch of really cute, rosy-cheeked babies this weekend, and I have all these cute, rosy-cheeked motion photos of said babies. Yeah. I love motion photos. I don't know what else to say. And because of that, I pre-ordered the Google Clip, whatever, and I'm probably going to drop money on it.
Wow, what are you going to do with it? You're just going to...
It's going to be my photographer when I'm hosting. Because nobody ever takes pictures of me. I'm always taking pictures of everyone, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. I want pictures of me. Okay, I dress up for the party. No, not right now. I'm
even going portrait mode.
Right now is not the time.
No, now is the time. Strike a pose. There's nothing to it. Flow. Okay. Let's see here. Did it do the portrait photo?
Oh, it looks nice.
Okay. So I'll show.
Oh yeah, we got to see this.
Yeah,
that's so good.
Really nice.
Sharp background.
Really nice.
Blurred the lighting background. In here is like
sharp
perfect.
Background. Blurred background. And that's it. There you go. There. See.
Listen, motion photos are the best thing to happen to me all year.
Is there any motion on this one?
Sometimes when I'm feeling really sad, like I'm just kind of waking up and I'm just like, the world, I have to get up. I'll go through my Google Photos and I'll go to the pictures with like my bestie or like with my husband, and I'll just like long press, and then I'll just see the little moment, animate, and it gives me some joy, and I love it. And why not?
Nice. Okay, I like motion the extra photos. Animation in there. It's cool, and just photos in general. Google Photos is such a great product and continues to be.
It really
continues to be improved in really neat ways.
Although Google, where are our editing abilities to take fences out of photos? Still waiting for that. Still waiting for the AI.
They did mention that a long time ago.
Yes, they did. At the Google I/O keynote in May.
Taking fences out of like lampposts and like
So you're shooting a photo through like a gated fence or whatever, and they showed off how they could use AI to remove the fence, so all you see is what's on the other side, with a couple of photos, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. Yeah, maybe we'll never see that. Sometimes you see things at Google I/O and you never see it.
You said it out loud too now. Darn it, Jason.
It doesn't matter. Google gonna do what Google gonna do.
True.
Dang it. Okay.
Oh, wow, that was great. By the way.
All right. My second pick has nothing to do with this phone. I don't know why I'm holding it. Google Home Mini, which which really surprises me, but what I've realized is Google Home Mini is the price point at which I'm willing, and by the end of this holiday season, will have basically Google Homed our entire house. There's going to be one in almost every room because it's so inexpensive and and really great for the cost of the device. The speaker is not amazing. It's not nearly as good as the larger one or the bombastic sound that comes out of the Google Home Max, which I hope to play with over the holiday break. But I mean, it's just so inexpensive. You can put one of these in every room, and you've just got a nice distributed sound system. You've, like for our girls, I hope they don't watch this show, but it's going to be a stocking gift for them.
Did you get them the coral one?
Nice.
I just got them one of these. Yeah, I didn't go fancy with it. I probably should have. They would have loved the fancy ones, but
I just realized with saying that now we are. I can't speak for Gina, but for the three of us, we are all giving some family member some form of Google product this year for Christmas because
how Flo made wedding photos for all of her parents and in-laws.
Yeah, that's great.
Wedding albums.
Nice. I can say this because I know they don't watch, but I got so my nieces, my sister, they redid their basement. They have a TV down there, and my youngest niece has an iPad, and I put a Chromecast in their TV in the living room. And over Thanksgiving, she gave a presentation, and I was watching her do it, and she pulled out her iPad and connected to the Chromecast on the TV and showed us her school presentation. And my mind was like blown. And then they did their basement and they got the new TV. I'm like, well, she needs a Chromecast down there too. So I got her a Chromecast.
Yeah.
Nice. That's a good gift. That's a really good gift. So am I the only one here that doesn't have a Google Home? Is that what's happening? Right now?
I think we've just figured out that you are.
Are you the only one here who doesn't have thousands and thousands of clips of you going, okay, G, somewhere in a server farm in Utah? Yes.
I feel really like old and anti-technology when I say this. And I know it's ridiculous because lots of devices in my home can hear the things that I say. I can't get over the whole listening device thing just sitting in my house, which I know is ridiculous. I want you guys to talk me out of this. It's not a big deal, right? It's
not a big deal.
It's worth it.
Not a big deal, says everyone who's already succumbed to it.
Yeah,
and accepted it.
It's a big deal.
I completely understand. I completely understand. I don't know why I've kind of allowed myself to get over that.
I need work, so that's why I'm.
Well, yeah, I think part of it is I've tried. If I had any hesitations, the fact that this is what I do for a living and I need to know about it probably pushed me into that direction. But then once you use it, and once you actually, it goes beyond just using it. Once you actually find a reason why it's very useful to you, for us, it's music. We can all play music at with a voice command. And for my 4-year-old daughter to be able to queue up any song that she wants in our library, she understands the syntax of it. She can fire off whatever song, that we have in our library. That's awesome. It's super empowering to me for my girls to be able to, listen to whatever they want. That and occasional, news stuff. But really for us, it's about just having access to music easily, our Google Play Music library in all rooms. Once you find that reason for having it and for liking it, it's really hard to go backwards. It's really hard to be like, but I don't want that in my house because it's so cool.
I have connected bulbs, so I use it to kind of set the house up as I'm leaving because I'm rushing out the door. So I'm just walking by, and because I have several of them in the house, as is the nature of what we do for a living, I can just every room that I walk by, I'm just okay, I'm picking up things and I'm going, hey G, make sure the living room light is on. Hey G, make the bedroom light dim, and I'll leave it on for my husband when he gets home so upstairs is not fully dark. So I do these things and I'm just nice setting things up. So it's, you find it, if you want to make use for it, you can, but then you have to think about what you're putting a thing that's listening to you all day in your house. So,
and
it's a trade-off.
I guess it really also depends on how thick the tinfoil is that makes up your hat. You know what I mean?
Yes.
How much of this stuff is actually going back to Google without you firing off the voice command. We know with the Google Home Mini, that happened with Artem Rozkovsky of Android Police because there was a glitch on the Google Home Mini and it dumped a bunch of stuff up onto the server, so it's possible.
It will interrupt arguments I'm having with my husband. We'll be just having a very impassioned conversation, and then all of a sudden it'll interrupt. It's
and it'll think that it heard the wait command.
Yeah,
and so that piece of audio now exists on the server.
Yes, now Google heard my disagreement.
It's been happening a lot more when watching TV.
Yeah.
We're here in the living room and the Google Home will think it heard it or whatever.
Right.
That's been weird. Also, what's been weird, and this has nothing to do with the wake word or listening to conversations, but this is Google Home related. I have a playlist called hashtag, but pound Christmas. And the reason why I have it is so that it appears at the top of my playlist in the app, because I don't want to have to scroll through all my running playlists, stuff like that. When it's Christmas, just get me to the Christmas music, right?
Yeah.
Sometime like a week or two after Thanksgiving, I used to be able to say, hey, G, play my Christmas playlist. And it will say playing hashtag Christmas on Google Play Music. Some point around a week or two ago, it will not play that playlist. It will play, here's Christmas hits radio on Google Play Music. It will play other play. It would not do it. I changed it to Xmas. I changed it to holiday, nothing. I had another playlist called simply 1986 with songs from 1986, and it played that. I went, huh. So then I changed the Christmas playlist to 1987. I said, play 1987, and it played it.
Weird.
So why doesn't want to play my playlist that I called Christmas and instead give me their radio playlist? Are they trying to push their rate to say, like, look how great the radio stations are. We know you're listening to holiday music, or is my Google Home just insane? I don't know.
It's just Google. It fumbles sometimes.
I spent an hour doing it. I spent an hour doing it, and every other playlist worked except anyone with the word Christmas or holiday.
Did you try Yuletide? Says cousin of Ja.
No, I didn't. Did you want me to? I can do it. No, that's
pretty
bad
wild.
radio.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
All right, let's blast through the last ones because we still have to do the arena, and I'm realizing what time it is. Gina, what's your third?
So I've been, as I said, on a little bit of a news diet, and I work with a big engineering team at Postlight, none of whom use Android. I'm one of the only Android users. So when a news story bubbles up that's Google related or Android related, my ears perk up. And this is the one that did, and this is a little bit secondary to Android, so I'm not sure if it totally counts or if even you all just discussed it. But these artificial intelligence DIY kits, the AIY kits, which are these little cardboard Raspberry Pi powered gadgets that you put together and can program to, send voice commands, and in some cases configure through your Android app. I just thought it was really neat. It's AIYprojects.withgoogle.com. Really neat project. Reminded me of Google Cardboard, so it gave me like warm and fuzzy cardboard feels. I just thought it was kind of neat, and I wound up chatting about it. So I don't have one, but I'd like to get one. I wound up chatting about it quite a bit with some of my engineer friends who are excited about machine learning.
Yeah, kind of an example of Google's kind of playfulness. But still empowering to people who know what to do with that hardware and with the software underneath and everything. We talked about the camera, the Vision Kit, last week actually on the show for a little bit. Very cool. I love that they're doing that, and their dedication to the cardboard aesthetic is very. I respect that.
It's recyclable.
It's so good. Yeah, it demystifies hardware and software to some degree, and I love the cardboard thing. I hope they continue with these. Right on.
All right, Ron, your third final pick.
Real quickly, this one's personal. Is that my new favorite Android device is the Asus ZenPad 3S 10, the tablet that I got to replace my beloved Nexus 9 when the connector died. It has been seamless, and it is like I have a tablet again, and I love it. So that's all. It seems like every week someone on the show says, "Hey, what's that tablet you like?" So I thought clearly it's resonating. So if you still believe in tablets, Asus ZenPad 3S 10, that's my recommendation.
Excellent. Good pick. And I think we have a review on that from you a few weeks back. It was probably about a month ago. You can find it on YouTube or whatever. Just search for it. Flo, what's your final pick?
This is my iPhone.
What?
This is my iPhone. Every year when Google releases a new Pixel, I am going to get it. I've decided, because I get so excited about these phones.
Oh, so it's not an actual iPhone.
No. I mean, I am going to be that person who says, anybody want to buy my Pixel from last year because I got to get some money to buy the new one.
Google will give you a good trade-in value, just saying.
Yeah, but why when I would pass down my... Anyway.
That's true.
I just mean by this is my new iPhone, but this is like the new phone that I look forward to every year is the Pixel. It started last year. This year gave me another reason. I felt really like it was really fun getting a new phone and being there with everybody. And I love it. And it's all part of the lifestyle thing. And I guess I got sucked in.
Yep.
I've been sucked in.
Here.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah. My final pick is, I hope, anyways, proves to be a big change for Android, and it feels that way already. Project Treble, which are the changes that come with Android O, to the system architecture underneath, to hopefully kind of remove vendor modification stuff from Android OS stuff so that, updates can happen quicker. We're seeing already the effects of this in the ROM community, how they're able to port ROMs easier to multiple devices because of the vendor-specific stuff that would at one time get in the way and make things super complicated. Now that it's kind of separated from the Android OS, they're able to do things easier, faster, and in some cases do things that they weren't able to do before because of these changes. I feel like it's a good sign that this is an actual very meaningful change to the architecture of Android, and I hope that this is kind of a symbol of Google's efforts to do this further into the system and keep going down this road. To kind of remove things, and maybe they'll eventually address some of these update issues that have plagued the system since the beginning. And I think it's a good sign. I would say also honorable mention would be the Pixel Book if it hadn't broken on me.
What happened?
It just stopped charging. It won't power up. The Pixel Book is toast. It won't. I can't turn it on. It won't charge. I'm talking with Google.
Did you spill coffee on it?
No, I did nothing.
This morning?
I did nothing. The only thing I did was not plug it in over the weekend, and then when I came to work on Monday to use it and plug it in,
a ghost took its soul.
Yeah, stole its soul.
Soulless now.
So it was a great laptop. It's an expensive Chromebook. It was great for the month that I had it working, and then it decided to die.
Are you going to factory REM it or RMA it or whatever?
REM it.
Are you going to REM it?
Shiny, happy Pixel Book. No. I'm definitely, I'm in talks with Google right now to get it figured out.
Very good. I want this to be fixed for you. You guys
do too.
You guys were
I want
really...
that too.
On the up and up
good.
there.
We were really good together.
We were really good together, and I just don't want to see it go off to college.
To work it out.
Man, and that Pixel Book completed me.
I mean,
all right. I think that was a good roundup of awesome things for 2017, and a lot of fun to do with the three of you. So thank you for that. It's time for the last part of this show, the arena. Let's do it.
So many enter, but only one lives. Android Arena.
Marsworm title, Factory REM it. It's close. I like it though. Last week's poll. Okay, see, there's this thing about last week's poll. We were just trying to figure this out before the show. It turns out that Wade County, you're going to have to probably make some adjustments to some numbers because there's.
Can you roll back? Yeah, roll back to last week, Wade, please.
There's been shenanigans. There have been shenanigans. We got an email from someone who did some investigative work to determine that there were shenanigans with last week's poll. We're not going to get into specifics because I don't think that's very responsible to dive into specifics and let you know exactly what happened so as to avoid it next time. However, we will say that the poll numbers were not to be trusted. We're striking last week's poll as a result because, it might not matter as much if we weren't right at the end of the year and it's basically a tie between Flo and Ron at this point.
Yeah.
So obviously someone really wanted to mess with things. You did, and gee, thanks a lot for that. This week we're doing things a little different, though. We are returning. I feel like this has been a seesaw the last year and a half or 2 years. We are returning for this very last vote to Google Plus for the polling. Why? Because it's all dialed into a specific account, and there's just too much on the line. Ron and Flo, neck and neck. Who wins this year? We cannot just be like, well, I guess this year's all done.
And that was my suggestion. My suggestion was we kill this week and we say Flo and I won, and we don't have the time or the effort or the interest to go back and forensically look back. Ultimately, I'm annoyed because it's just not cool, and we're doing this, and we really want to have a great community and have you guys be involved, and this is a great way to do it. And we joke about the competitiveness and stuff like that, but there have been times where it's a popularity contest and things like that. That's not cool. That's why we did the points thing to kind of even it out. But I don't know. It just really, really bummed me out to question my wins or Flo's wins or Jason's wins or whatever. So it just it's not cool. So.
So we aren't going to log last week's last week's wins.
It's a really good app.
I don't even know. I know, right? I don't even know which order. I know that I lost. I know that my app lost.
So we already mathematically eliminated Jason. Unfortunately, Gina, as the captain of the guests team that we established a year ago, they were mathematically eliminated months ago as well too. So really, it comes down to Flo and me, and. So we're gonna see Gina's, we're gonna see Jason's, because they could be spoilers.
Could be spoilers.
We'll see Flo's, we'll see mine, and let the best person win.
Yeah, and you'll be able to find this poll, as we've done in the past, on the Google Plus community for All About Android. Which, by the way, I have taken up the reins on that as of a month ago to. Or around that, to continue moderating it and kind of get all the spammy stuff that was starting to appear there. It's cleaned up a lot, and it's resulted in actual discussions, show-related discussions. So it's better. So it actually makes a whole lot of sense. Hey, let's bring the polls back in there, and then we will decide what happens in 2018. Because, man, it just sucks to get this close to the end and then have someone get in there and try and spoil it for everyone.
Life happens.
Yeah, this is the internet. Okay, so I'm gonna show off my app first. It's actually really quick, and I hope that it works the first time that I do this, because I had a little bit of an issue earlier today. This app was sent in from a fan of the show. It's called Clap to Find, and apparently this is a subgenre of apps in the Play Store that I never knew existed. If you don't want, hey, it's on. I don't need to find this phone with your clapping. It's basically like the Clapper, but for your phone. If you lose your phone in your house and you don't know where it is, and you don't think to go to Android Device Manager, whatever they call it these days, whatever Google calls it these days, but you know that your phone is there, sitting, in between the cushions or whatever, and you want to find it. Clap to Find is how you can do that. Clap to Find My Phone. And basically you start it. There's some permissions that you have to allow for that, but you can make sure that it's running when your device is rebooted. The Do Not Disturb permission will allow you to play music when the Do Not Disturb mode is on, so you probably want that if you're playing music. What do you want it to do? Do you want it to sound off? Do you want it to turn on the flashlight? Maybe blink the flashlight, vibrate the phone, blink the screen? You can determine what you actually want it to do when you clap, and then you can also determine how many claps it has to detect. Along with that is a sensitivity knob where you can kind of set it and try and make sure that you don't have it too sensitive, that just simple things like tapping on a keyboard is going to set it off, but that it's not sensitive enough so that it doesn't actually pick up your claps. Now is the moment of truth. I will go ahead and start it. It says it's going to start detecting when I turn it off, and please work. It's called Clap to Find My Phone, and it's free, thankfully. That's all we got. It's apparently not working. It says start detecting clap when screen goes to sleep. Let's try it one more time. Hey! Oh, I'm so happy. There we go. Tap to stop. I found my phone.
Yay!
It only took, my hands are sore, but I found my phone. It's called Clap to Find My Phone, and it works sometimes. There you go. All right, Gina, I have your app. I will show it off if you want to talk about it.
Let's do this.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So my pick is an app called Day One Journal, which is new on Android, but has been around actually for a long time on Mac and iOS. You should start your free trial there. It's an app that you can get a basic account for free. It's a journaling app, as just like it sounds. And if you're into journaling and you haven't kind of found your journaling app, which is kind of where I was. In fact, I think I've done at least one other journaling app here on All About Android before. And I just couldn't get, I need to love my journaling app, because journaling is a thing that you takes, you gotta take time out of your day to do it. Day One is beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's set up to make it feel really good and easy to write. So you can add a picture to your journal, just like Jason is doing with a basic account, which is for free. You can have a single journal. You can add a picture. It will automatically detect your location and add the weather and your address and the date. There's Jason typing in the title of his journal entry. And this journaling, not just for teenage people. Also for grown-ups who have bad memories, like me. Really good to write things down. So you can add tags. You can tag your various entries, so you can categorize things or filter things that way. You can write as many as you want, unlimited entries. You can see your entries on a map. You can see them on a calendar. Day One does a really nice job of letting you export to PDF or HTML. You can print out a book. You can create an account to sync to the cloud. And if you subscribe, there's a premium subscription, which I think is like $4 a month, maybe $30 a year for you hardcore journalers, which will let you do like unlimited photo storage and multiple journals and end-to-end secure encryption. I'm actually a premium subscriber. I like it a lot. And it's just a beautiful app that's built to encourage you to write. And the Day One app on Android also syncs to the Mac. And if you have any iOS devices as well, it'll give you stats there of how many words and how many entries you've written. There's some nice IFTTT integrations for like people who want to like automatically, if you post to Instagram, it'll automatically go to your Day One journal, that kind of thing. Just a really, really nice personal journal app to remember stuff and keep track of things. And I really dig it. Day One journal. And it's been out. It was in beta on Android for a while. I was a beta tester. And then I think just recently it became public. So you can download it now.
Nice. It's got a nice design. Very
really
intuitive, very slick look to it. Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's Day One journal. There's someone at my front door. There you go. Day One journal. Great pick, Gina. Awesome stuff. All right. Ron, how about you go next since I'm here with the phone out?
Yes, for my last app of the year.
Dun, dun, dun.
I actually have had this for a couple of weeks, and I saved it because I want to save the best for last. It is a new browser that's currently in beta. It's one of those unreleased apps in the Google Play Store. It's called Cake Browser. Or Cake Browser Unreleased. And two things caught my eye about Cake Browser as it crashes on Jason's phone for some reason. Is that one is that the design aesthetic is really unique and different from any other browser approach. And what it does is it assumes you're in your browser and you can set it to your default browser and it will open up and it will render, but it assumes like mainly most of what we do is we use a browser to search. So if you want to search for something like, I don't know, Christmas, because it's that time of year. So it's making suggestions of websites as you're typing it, but you don't have to choose any of those. You can just hit the arrow button, search for Christmas. And then what it does is it loads several screens of most popular search results for that topic in little tabs, and all you have to do is swipe through the search results, right? This is a completely different kind of interface than the common, Chrome or Firefox, although I haven't played with the new Firefox browser, the new Mozilla one as much yet. But it just seemed like a different approach in a more mobile-focused kind of a view of the browser. And it just really kind of impressed me. I thought it was pretty neat. That's mainly it. It's for me, it was, being able to swipe through search results, being able to determine the search engines that you are using. You can specify Google or Yahoo or Bing or even shopping sites and things like that. Like what's weird is like eBay is becoming a search engine, right? Like when I'm trying to find something, like does it exist? It comes up on eBay more often than not. Like it's just this whole paradigm of search is changing. So yeah, I was really impressed by it, and I found myself using it more often than not. They claim it's a better browser for your phone. I don't know about that, but if you check it out, you can see. But one other neat thing is that, which reminds me of when Firefox first came out with tabs, is that they have a thing called Cake Slices, where you can organize your links, and every morning you open up your browser and it goes to all your pages, all your favorites, and that sort of thing. Like, which I think it was reminded me back in the day. Like these are my 5 news sites, and when I open the browser, I get those 5, which is a pretty nifty little bit of functionality. So, doing interesting stuff, different ways to interface with the browser. Cake Browser, it's free in the Google Play Store. Check it out.
Nice pick. Yep. Cake Browser. Have your cake and search it too? No, that doesn't work. Sure, whatever. All right. And finally, we have Flo. What you got?
Do you guys remember, I think it was Mark Bursteiner brought the game Reigns
remember that.
The arena. Well, guess what? There's a sequel, which I was super excited to see because this time Reigns, Her Majesty, is all about the Queen. So that excites me. Also, what excites me on a personal note is that Leah Alexander is one of the. She worked on the narrative in this game, so she's a noted games journalist.
Oh,
which is
cool.
I love her writing, so that yay. It's the same. It's the same thing you have come to love of Reigns if you played the last version. It's a game that requires you to swipe through essentially a deck of cards. The deck of cards start with every new reign. And as soon as this loads, I can show you what it's like. It's building the palace. There we go. So the last time I was on, I died, which is unfortunate. But I'm starting a new game here. It gives you a couple of objectives at the bottom before you jump in, and then here's your stack of cards. So it'll kind of tell you like where you are in the game. I've already played a couple times, so I'm a little in there. Here at the top are your different meters. So this is how you're doing with the church, how you're doing with the people, how you're doing with your soldiers, and how you're doing with money. And the goal is to keep all of these things balanced. If each of these things either becomes too much or none at all, then that'll result in your untimely death, which then you'll have to start over on the next deck of cards. Sometimes power-ups and things, so there are like power-ups that you can get through this game, will carry over, but sometimes they don't. It depends. So it's a really fun game. The narrative is really fun, and I'm probably doing something very bad to my score right now by not paying attention to what's going on, but it's just to kind of show you what it's like. You really can't just swipe through. People rose up and dragged me through the city streets amid revelry and uprising. I try not to lose my head, but it happened anyway. And that's how I died, as the queen. But then after ruling for 6 years, I can rule again as somebody else. So it's a game that goes on forever. It's really easy to just kind of pick up and play on a bus while you're just sitting on the couch. And it's kind of funny. It's a funny game. And it's real, like the narrative is really good.
I liked the first one a lot.
And it's really easy to play.
I installed that and played it a lot.
So, Reigns, Her Majesty.
Her Majesty?
Available in the Google Play Store.
Awesome. 348. Sorry, I'm trying to create the poll, and for some reason it's like not letting me do it. And I just need to create this last poll. That's all I need to do, Google.
We just have to... Somebody mentioned that my app had a Tinder interface. Cousin of Joss said that, and it's true. It's a Tinder interface. Swipe left to make the people happy. Swipe right to make the church happy.
Yeah, pretty much. Be quiet. Okay.
Hey, Gina, how much do you miss having to bring an app to the arena every week?
It had been so long that when I got the email this afternoon from Jason saying like, hey, bring Oreos, wear something festive, and like, don't forget your app, I went, oh
that.
And then frantically started flipping through my apps. Like, is there any way that there's something on my phone that is not already on the list? It was
that's
tough.
The big problem. Yeah.
That's the problem, right? Like not picking a dupe. Yep.
All right. So here's the situation. The redirect is not working. By the time this is published, it will be working. Live viewers, if you want to vote right now, go to Google+, go to the All About Android community page. You will find the poll there. Victor, for you, I have the long URL down below just to link right to it. Anyone who wants to get there can do that, and you can absolutely find the poll on the Google Plus community page for All About Android. If you want to get there later, let's see here. Go to twit.to/AAA vote 348. Again, if you're watching live, that's not going to work right now. I'm going to make sure that it works after I get done with the show. twit.to/AAA vote 348, and place your vote for your favorite app from this week. Is it basically the clapper? Clap to find my phone. Day One Journal. I had to put that in there because it gives it only a small inch of extra credibility. Day One Journal from Gina. Cake Browser or Reigns Her Majesty. Reigns Part 2. Place your vote. We will check in on this.
Place your vote, Victor.
Next week. Yeah, Victor.
No pressure, Victor.
I almost picked Jason's until it didn't work.
But then it worked.
Because my choice usually goes from something I could have used last week.
Oh, okay.
Oh. That's been a theme with you.
Yeah.
See?
But
I'm just telling you, it worked eventually, right? You can't totally not
discount
Go
it.
with your gut, Victor. Go with your gut.
All right, fine.
All right, good.
Yay.
See, we've got instant results there. Reigns
There
2
you go.
coming out ahead right out of the gate. Very, very nice. We'll check in on that next week. Well, no, we won't.
No,
Next
we
week
won't.
won't be here. Next week is a best of.
Best of.
So we will kind of be here playing a bunch of clips
here
from throughout the year. And then the week after that, we will be back and we will check in on the winner
We'll be back in holiday hungover.
for 2017. What a fun show, you guys. This is so much
This
fun
is a lot
having
of
you
fun.
back.
I love when Gina comes on the end of the year show.
I know.
This was awesome. I'm so glad I got into 2017. Thank you for having me.
Right on. You are always welcome to join us. You know you have an open invitation, though I will, if you don't mind, check in with you every once in a while. I don't inundate you, but I just want you to know that you are wanted and welcome here. And
Appreciate
we love
that.
having
Yes,
you on the
please. I'd love to come back, and I will definitely make time in 18.
show. Right on, Gina. So great having you. What do you want to leave people with? Final thoughts, places to find you, that sort of stuff.
I guess mostly you can find me on Twitter these days. Just Gina Trapani on Twitter. Just my day job. I work for a place called Postlight, postlight.com. You can check out some of the stuff that we've worked on. And yeah, reach out. I sometimes Instagram. I'm around. You can find me. I'm on the internet.
Right on.
Yeah, great to be here. Thanks again.
Happy holidays, Gina. Thank you again.
Happy holidays to you too.
Ron, what's your story?
What's my story, Morning Glory? I'm very happy that it's the holidays, that's for sure. But for those of you who follow my other podcast adventures, a couple of months, 2 months ago, I departed the iFanboy comic book podcast, but I rejoined them, and out came out today is our review of Star Wars: The Last Jedi, an hour-long discussion where we talk about the latest Star Wars movie. So go to iFanboy.com to check that, and if you like comic books, keep listening to that show because they're awesome. But aside from that, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at RonXO and just living life. So
living the dream. Oh man, I haven't seen it, and every day that I don't see it, I'm worried like some major spoiler is going to end up in my lap.
Well, if you have it, I mean, I don't even get me started. Yeah. But
I plan on it between Christmas and New Year, somewhere in there. So if I can make it that long,
I will say that I am very proud of the fact that we had I feel like a very intelligent, non-reactionary, like the three of us love. I mean, we all do. Our generation, like I've said for years, Star Wars is the closest thing to religion I have. And we're getting older, and the world is changing, and I think it garnered an interesting discussion.
Nice,
so,
awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ron, and happy holidays to you too, sir. Yeah. What about you, Flo?
I'm just planning CES, so
happy holidays.
I'll be there.
Isn't it fun, CES?
8 days, baby. 8 days in Las Vegas, or Las Wages, as they call it on Southwest Airlines. If you want to know what I'm working on, I finally updated my website, so just go to florencine.com.
Nice.
I'm taking a bit of I'm not on Twitter as much through the holidays right now because I need a little break.
Yep.
But I'll be back after.
Right on.
Yeah.
Excellent. Looking good.
Very nice.
You had been. I've noticed because I went through the best ofs, or all the episodes for the best
the wrestling.
You've noticed it. You've mentioned it a lot. How you need to update your website.
I finally did it. Yeah, I did. Because,
right it's not an easy. It's not easy to do.
Yeah, and I don't have a
it's gonna be
CMS,
easy,
so
it's
I have to update it manually by going into the HTML, like writing something new, and then I have to go get it like grammatically checked, and so it's like all a thing.
Yeah,
it's a process.
I hear you.
But
I
whatever.
understand that process. Big thanks to you, Victor, and happy holidays to you, and happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays.
For helping out this year, and we really appreciate having you on the show, and thank you for being our TV
Thank you,
and
Victor.
helping us with everything.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Awesome. And it will continue to be fun into 2018. We're happy to have you on board. You can find me at yellowgoldmusic.com. By the way, if you happened to have been one of the people that got in on the Yellow Gold Kickstarter, it funded officially on Saturday. I honestly, thank you. I was sweating bullets, you guys, the whole time. I was
so happy to get that email. Fully funded.
Oh, dude,
that was awesome.
Thank you, Gina.
Awesome.
Yeah, Kickstarters are stressful.
They are.
And there were so many points where I was like, I don't think this is going to happen. So I guess what's plan B? But anyways, it funded, and I can't thank you guys enough. I'm really excited to get that out early next year. So it will happen. And even if you didn't get in on the Kickstarter, the album will release for free with the option to pay if you absolutely want to after that. So, Kickstarter folks, they get it first. And I'm super stoked that we can do that.
Yay!
So yay! And that's the last you'll hear about that for a while. But as for this show, thank you guys for tuning in all year. We've had a great year. Make sure and tune in. Check out the feed next week for the best of, because we put together a really great thing. Victor's worked his butt off on that, and I really appreciate that as well. I know it's not easy to do that. But leave us a voicemail, 347-SHOW-AAA. Send us an email to AAA@twit.tv. Find us on Twitter @AndroidShow. We have a subreddit at twitaaa.reddit.com. You can find every app that we've ever discussed on this show logged at twit.to/androidapps. You can also find show notes for past episodes and everything you need to know about this show by visiting our show page on the web. That is twit.tv/AAA. That's the most important one, I would say. So go there, you'll find it. And you can catch us live every Tuesday starting around 5 p.m. Pacific at twit.tv/live. That's it for this week and kind of this year for All About Android. We'll see you all in 2018. Hope you enjoy the best of next week. Bye, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Happy holidays.